Hey everybody, happy to have you back for another lesson, Music Made Easy. I'm Mr. Mustacato, and today we'll be talking about percussion rudiments. These are really, really important parts, especially when you're first starting out as a drummer. And we're going to go over some of the basics and then hopefully get into something new. So let's get started. So it's important that we learn about proper stick grip. And this might be a review for some of us, but it's really important that we get the proper grip so that we could play all these rudiments correctly, especially when you start playing more difficult material. If you're not holding the stick properly, things can be very, very tricky for you in the future. So, the basics. Usually I like to start out by just making a flat hand like that, and then what we're going to do is curl our index finger up like that. And the main point and the most important part is to get the pressure in between your thumb and your index finger when you put the stick in your hand, like this over here. Okay? That's the most important thing. We want to have a nice solid pressure in between our thumb and our index finger while the other three fingers remain extended. And then once we have this, then we can move into the final position where we gently curl the other fingers around the stick. But this is where we're keeping the most pressure, in between our thumb and our index finger, just so we have nice control over the stick, but also so it can bounce if we need it to bounce. And we'll talk about that in coming up. But before we move on, I just wanted to say that make sure you're also holding your thumb and your index finger. Make sure you leave some room in the back of your stick, right? You don't want to grip it back here, right, and then have your fingers falling off. You want to make sure you leave some room for your fingers, and a little bit of the stick should be hanging out at the end. So the first rudiment is called the multiple bounce, and if you have a music book, like Essential Elements, it'll look something like this. It'll be a quarter note with a Z going through it, and this basically what you do is when you strike your drum pad or a drum, you're going to let the stick bounce and make it kind of like a roll as long as it can. So when you strike it, right, make sure that you leave some, you're not holding it too tight so the stick can bounce and bounce. As you see, they get smaller and smaller, right? So that's your stick bouncing, 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 bouncing until it stops. It can be tricky at first, but once you get the idea of it, I think you'll be able to understand it. The next rudiment is my favorite rudiment. It's called the flam. Right? In your music, it'll look something like this. This is called a flam. Sometimes you could have a right-hand flam or a left-hand flam, but the most important thing is that you have a small grace note right in front of it, and then the note itself. So you need both hands to play this, and it'll sound something like this. So it's ba-da, ba-da. Okay? One right after the other. And they really, really come right after another. This is really, really common. It's used in all types of marching music, and it's also used in traditional, maybe like rock and roll or anything like that. So very, very common, very, very important that you know this one, called the flam. So we're going to take a look at a piece of music, and we're going to see if we could find the difference between the two. So this one is called Skip to My Lou, and you can see, right, it's filled with a bunch of different things. Just remember, and this is your reminder, that our top line right here, those always represent snare drums, right? And the bottom part right here, it represents the bass drums. And you can see it, actually, it says SD and BD in your music, snare drum, bass drum. And at the very, very bottom, this is called SUSCYM, which stands for suspended cymbal. So if we have a cymbal player in the band, they would be playing this part right here. But anyway, back to Skip to My Lou. We're going to look, and we're going to see if we can find, right, I'll give the first two examples. So this one right here, okay, that one right there, from what you remember from the slides before, is that one a multiple roll, or is it a flam? I'll give you a few seconds to think. This is your second one. See how they're different? Is this a multiple roll or a flam? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. This one, if you said flam, you're correct. That would make this one a multiple roll. So if you said multiple roll, you are correct. So what I'd like you to do is, if you can pause this video, can you go through and see if you can find out and discover the rest of the rudiments in this piece of music? Okay, so now what I would like for you to do, and once again, feel free to pause your screen. I have a couple of options for you to try. A song called March Steps, and make sure you're just trying the snare drum part, which is the top line, and Claire de la Lune. March Steps has all of our multiple rolls, and A Claire de Lune has your flams. So pause your screens, give these a try with your drumsticks and your snare pads. And finally, we're going to talk about our last rudiment, which is called a paradiddle. Okay? It will always look something like this, and it's really, really important for your paradiddles to follow what we call the sticking patterns, right? Which is your hand patterns. So it's right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. So if you have to remember one thing from this lesson, remember that the paradiddle, you must follow the sticking patterns and the hand patterns. And it goes like this: right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. So what you can do is you can count yourself off, right? You could say 1, 2, ready, go. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. So give this one a try. Okay? You don't have to try a tisket a tasket unless you feel comfortable. This is actually a very, very complicated piece. But as you can see in this measure right here, there is your paradiddle. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. And then once you get really, really good at this pattern, try playing it a little bit quicker. This is one of the more useful rudiments that you can learn. And you'll see it a lot, and I mean a lot. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. And if you play it really, really fast, it starts to sound very, very cool. So it's a lot of fun. Give it a try. And today, I think that is it. So if you want to see more videos, you can always go to this website right here. It'll be in the description in the video below. And I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.